Hello, everybody.
Hi! We are back with another episode of Let's Play FFBE.
Let's play FFBE.
Exciting! However, this episode is going to be geared towards the beginner type of users or middle users, not the expert, like super hardcore players that we know and love of the FFBE communities. You know, it's always a challenge. Of course, you can go into trials and have like the most OP equipment and the most OP like Trust Masters, and that's going to make your life a whole lot easier. But today we're going to try to do it as, you know, true to a beginner level as possible.
Yeah.
So no Trust Masters, or if any, then they're going to be, you know, from events. But we also tried very hard not to use any event-related items, just in case, you know, you're starting the game right now and you haven't been able to actually access or play any of those events. So it's going to be interesting because I think we've gotten really comfortable with our own accounts and our own play style, having, you know, we play the game every single day religiously, and so having to kind of like nerf ourselves down. It's going to be very, very interesting to try to get through these today. Okay, so it's time to get ready to do the trials. Yeah, training the soul, of course, accessible through the vortex, as with most of our special events and things like that.
Yeah, and training the soul is a bit of a unique challenge in that you can only use the main characters.
Correct.
These challenges, although they have the specific requirement of only having to use the main characters, they offer you pretty good equipment and a lot of those. So make sure you check this out if you've just started the game and you don't know, like you're like short on resources and you want to buff up your party in a relatively short time.
Right. This equipment is really, really great, especially on the units that it is meant for. So for example, the Trial of the Burning Soul is the trial for Rain, specifically made for him. And you can see on the screen that all of the equipment, all of the rewards, you know, besides the rare summon ticket. Let's
just briefly go over the party.
Sakura first.
Sakura, geared towards magic and has some elementary and relatively easy to get magic equipment. And next off is Laswell. Laswell is the physical attacker of the party, and well, he equipped with katana, he actually does pretty high levels of damage.
Right.
And next up is Rain. And Rain, he can do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's quite well balanced, but I think mainly we're going to be using him for his Undermine break.
So Undermine debuffs every stat for one enemy, and he also has buffs for the party, so he's sort of an all-rounder, and he can attack when required as well.
Yes, and support last roll of that. Excellent.
And Fina, our white mage, Fina is going to support us with healing.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, that's what she does. She's a white mage. You can't really expect more of that. She's going to support you and heal you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Lid,
and then Lid.
Well, Lid only stops at maximum of 5 stars, but Lid can use some buffs and use the helpful Sunbeam,
I do believe,
as well, which is AoE blind for AoE blind for all enemies.
Right, which will come in handy in this particular fight because the Donkachu, the little Ochu guys, they are susceptible to blind. The main guy is not, but you know, every little helps.
Every little helps.
Exactly. So
all right,
that's it.
We're taking for granted that everybody who knows how to play RPGs takes equipment very, very seriously, but FFBE is not all about equipment power. It's not all about raw stats on your units. We want to pick up some of the things that you might be missing if you've just started out FFBE.
Right.
And
so we made a list. Let's show them the list.
The list is, ta-da!
Maybe, yeah, there you go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
We'll just have that on the side while we talk about it.
Yes, hopefully, you know, it's really nice on the screen after that so that you guys can follow along.
And so first of all, espers. Espers are really, really important. First of all, they provide the person who's equipped with the esper loss and loss of raw stats.
Yes.
And secondly, they provide you with very, very essential elemental resistances. Well, they give you elemental weaknesses as well, but
Right. I mean, there's a trade-off. So, for example, Sakura here has Shiva equipped, so then she gets the ice elemental buff. But since Shiva, you know, an ice esper would be weak to fire, then Sakura also becomes weak to fire. So you have to compensate with your equipment depending on how much you can risk that. Right?
And the interesting thing about espers is that if you level them up by giving them esper food,
Esper food, but aka magicite.
magicites, you can get them to learn
Certain abilities.
and
Right.
magics of their own.
Yes.
And
Let me actually show some of that.
yeah,
Keep going.
and any unit who's equipped with said esper will be getting those benefits as well.
Right.
So, for example, this Shiva right here has what ability? Do we have any abilities?
None of the
for
killers
example,
ones, but these are like raw stats, for example, here.
Yeah, and for example, we have
Cure
sleep right here and cure,
and Blizzard.
blizzard. Even if a unit can't use any magic innately, if you have the esper equipped,
It can,
yeah.
suddenly, yeah.
And if you rank up the esper to, for example, rank 2, which you can do by leveling up to max at rank 1 and refighting the esper,
Right.
you can get very, very strong abilities such as killers
Yes.
and stronger magics and more passives.
Right. Like if right here he has, I believe, 2 killers. He has Beast Killer down here, and then Plant Killer as well. So that means that when a unit has Ifrit as their esper equipped, they also gain the Plant Killer and Beast Killer ability, which can be invaluable in battle without having to sacrifice an ability slot for that.
And we'll be covering more of the specifics as we go on in the battle.
Right. So we're going to we covered number 1, which was espers, and again we're under the assumption that everybody kind of has a general idea of how equipment works. We're going to move on to debuffs, but we want you to see them in action. So we're going to go ahead and start the battle right now,
Yep.
and then try to use some debuffs and the rest of our list for you guys too.
All right, so we have a family of donkochus.
Yeah. So the little ones are the donkochus, and the big one is just a donchu.
Donchu.
Yeah.
So in this game, you can debuff your enemies. Well, some enemies are immune to certain types of debuffs.
Right.
But in general, an enemy will be susceptible to some sorts of debuffs. And the important thing about debuffs is that they modify the damage you receive from the debuffed enemy.
Yes, or how much damage you deal as well.
So our debuffer, in this case, Rain,
Rain
can
yes.
debuff Donchu.
Right, and Donchu is susceptible to all breaks, so Undermine, which does all breaks, will be perfect for this particular scenario. So we're going to use Rain to go ahead and debuff Donchu here, and as you can see, all of the breaks here have been implemented.
Rain's debuff downs all the enemy stats by 30% or something like that. But due to the mechanics, an enemy who's debuffed 30% in attack or magic will only be dealing you around half the damage of what it would have dealt if it did not have any breaks online. And that's like,
Right, so debuffs are very, very important. Another popular debuffer is also Lid. She has the handy Sunbeam, which can damage and blind all enemies. Now the big Donchu, you can't put any status ailments on the Donchu, but on the little guys, you can.
Yeah.
So since this is AoE, we're gonna just have her do that and have them all blinded
Yeah.
in one shot.
And unfortunately, not a lot of the bosses are susceptible to status illness like poison
Right.
or paralysis and whatnot. But, well, it does have its uses where
Where it can.
it can.
Yeah.
And
For this example here, so I said let's blind all of the little Ochus. Well, the Donkachus, only one of them is actually blinded. So again, these abilities, although they do have the probability of blinding an enemy, sometimes they're not guaranteed to like work, because sometimes the probability is like 50% or even less than that. So in this case, only 1 out of the 3 Donkachus, for our misfortune, has been blinded. But better than nothing.
yeah.
Better than nothing.
And I suppose we can move on to point number 3 now.
Yes.
Which is about buffs.
Yes.
So you can have various passive stat buff abilities equipped on your character, but separate from that, in the battle you can also buff your characters up, and similar to debuffing, buffing your characters will have a very visible effect on how many damage you deal and how many damage you receive.
Right. So Fina here, for example, the main buffer, she has this very handy ability called Cheer, which boosts your attack and defense. So we're going to cast that. The Donchu actually deals hybrid damage, so we're still going to suffer from the attacks. But it's always best to have some kind of buff going on, not to mention that our main damage dealer, or last world, will really benefit from the attack boost. So.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have also our Sakura here.
Apart from the status buffs, there are also other kinds of buffs, such as damage mitigation buffs, which Sakura conveniently has, which is going to cut a fairly large amount of damage your party receives as well.
Right. This being her defensive barrier, as you can see here, these 2 particular abilities, defensive barrier and thunder's protection, have been awakened all the way to level 2 on this account. That doesn't mean that you have to. You can do the trial, I wouldn't say just as easily, but you can still do it, because I did these without any awakened abilities at all when I was doing the trial on my account. So you don't need to have these awakened in order to do it. And we're going to cast the defensive barrier here, which again is a physical
Let's see that.
boost here for defense. And SPR, she does have Thunder's Protection, which is more elemental buffs, but we're not really going to get into that so much in this battle because it's not necessary. So we're going to cast defense barrier here.
Yeah, and the last roll, as always, is going to be just bash him in the head.
Right, so what I want to see here is if we should get rid of all the little guys first, and then go after
sounds like
the
a good
main.
idea.
Okay, so let me see if he has an AoE attack here that we can do.
I think he has
Exercising Storm. Ice and wind damage all enemies 2 times. That sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
Let's do that. As far as the elemental traits of this particular boss, it is weak to fire and earth, which makes it perfect for rain, because rain deals fire and earth damage.
Yeah.
Last will deals usually ice and wind damage. So we should be okay. Yeah. He's not going to benefit very much from the elemental weakness, but that's alright. So here we go, last will.
Here we go.
Take care of these little Chu.
Oh.
Okay.
Very
so
nice.
he didn't kill them all at once, but as you can see, we're still very much standing because of the debuffs that we put in place and the buffs that we put in place.
Yeah.
Now, since Lastwell is the only one attacking here, it's kind of difficult to show you guys the 4th point of the strategy, which is chaining.
So chaining is one of the more important factors in FFBE that are not made obvious off the bat, but it actually makes your damage output tremendously different depending on whether you did chain or did not chain.
Right. I think a lot of people take that for granted when they're first starting the game, and they think that, you know, maybe because they have a strong friend or something, they can just auto through like a battle or something like that. But chaining manually is essential in order to deal like the highest amount of damage physically like possible, because timing the units to like the rate, like the frame rate that they attack, it's no easy task. You need a lot of studying and a lot of trial and error in order to get them to hit perfectly at the same time.
Yeah, and chaining is
really deal damage there.
Chaining itself is just so big, so deep a rabbit hole that we're just going to cover it on another video. But in this video, we'll just remind you that chaining does make the difference. We'll say about 2 or 3 times the damage output that you would be doing without chains if you do use the chain, utilize the chains.
Exactly. I mean, I think it would be really helpful then, you know, for beginner users if maybe we could show the difference. For example, I know that there are some users that reach out to me personally when we did, I think it was either the Echidna challenge or the one with Ultor, the octopus teacher. And they didn't know that a full chain was like a thing. They were just like tapping buttons to tap buttons. It's like, okay, I dealt damage. Yeah, but if you have 2 Orlandos, then, you know, a 2 Orlando chain, the max that it can go is about 27 hits, if I'm not mistaken. And if you match them perfectly, it deals like crazy amounts of damage. And so people who had pulled Orlando that were playing the game and thinking that, oh, my Orlando is strong, didn't realize that it could be like super strong if you just had a friend and you timed your attacks correctly. So I think there are some people who are not that aware. So.
Well, and the thing is that Orlando, Dark Veritas, and Agres, I think you may have heard a few times if you are keeping in touch with the community. Those 3 units are the most famous chainers.
Pinnacle of FFBE.
Of FFBE chaining at the moment, because they're so easy to chain and it's obvious, but of course those units are not the only units who have like splendid chains.
Right.
And even if you don't have Agrias, even if you don't have Orlando or Dark Veritas, you don't have to worry. There are other units who chain, and even if it isn't Divine Ruination, there are ways to and just defeat it.
Yeah. As Dasol was saying that I did defeat it on the 3rd. No, was it the 3rd turn? I do believe it was the 3rd turn. And as you can see, that final attack when I was using Sakura and Laswell and Rain, there were no chains involved. No notifications for actual chains came up. So again, with this particular party, it's kind of really difficult to cover chains in entirety, so we'll leave that for another video. But as you can see here, we were able to pull it off. Let's see if we got all of the achievements. I think we so. Did. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. And now that we have gotten these fabulous equipment and items here, we are going to go ahead and try them on Rain, because that is who they were made for.
Yeah.
So Rain here is going to equip his Crimson Saber. If I can find it in here. Here it is. There you go. So that's an attack 90 plus equipped to Rain, you get Crimson Soul, which I'm not entirely sure what it does, but let's find out. Crimson Soul, it boosts HP and MP by 30%, which is amazing.
Amazing.
That is really, really valuable.
More undermines, more leaderships.
Yes, because one of the things about Rain's abilities is that they cost a lot of MP. They're super helpful, but you know, you do leadership 1 time, it's like 60 MP. That's like half of his MP already gone. So it's really hard to keep up with his MP. That will help a lot. For his body, we have Rain's clothes. If I can locate them here they are. And looking at these, defense 38, spirit plus 12, which is pretty decent. and then you get another MP boost. Again, this was made specifically for Rain because
Rain loves
the
MP.
developers know that he needs help in that department. But not only that, when equipped to Rain, you get push forward, which we're going to look at in just a second. Push forward. Nullifies blind, paralysis, and stone. Very handy.
Pretty nifty.
Very handy. So it's like half a ribbon. not all the way. It doesn't, nullify all of the status ailments, but as you can
The
see,
important stuff.
yeah, with the equipment that he has on right now, he's only missing out on 2 status ailments. So you can get him pretty high up there, even if you don't have OP accessories like
And
ribbon.
poison and virus are like, you can
Right,
ignore
they're
this.
not that crucial, but blind can be, it can mean death for you if you miss that one attack that you were supposed to land before you die because you only have 30 HP left, and your character was blinded and that attack didn't land. Then that it just you throw the whole game away. So that is very useful as well. And then we have, I believe, Rain's insignia. Let's trade a muscle belt for that right here. It gives you defense +3, which doesn't look like much, but under the surface lies a 15% boost to HP.
That's pretty good muscle build.
Yes, that is really good. And again, HP is one of those really crucial parts of a battle. The more HP that you have, the better chances of you to survive. So here, another ability for Rain, specifically for Rain because of this equipment. Knight of Grand Shield. Let's check that out. Knight of Grand Shield regenerates MP each turn during battle. Again, Rain needs a lot of MP to make use of his abilities, so this is perfect.
The equipment for Rain.
Yes, I mean, literally, this is the equipment for Rain because this is what he wears, throughout the whole story. His actual sword, his actual clothes, and then the insignia, I think, maybe from the sprite is really hard to see, but think of it as like his rank because he is a Knight of Grand Shield, and they are ranks within the Order of the Knights of Grand Shield. So, as you can see now, Rain is ready to
roll out.
Live another day in the dangerous, perilous world that is Lapis. Yeah, and he's ready to rumble. Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't get to the Lastwell and Fina trials today, but with what you have learned today, if you still haven't done this and you're a beginner player, hopefully this advice is useful to you and you can use it to, consequently beat the trials for those 2 other characters. However, always keep in mind that the monsters will not be the same, so you have to be constantly changing your equipment, swapping out your espers to make sure that you have the right killers on the right people, and again, using the best that you can out of your debuffs and buffs in order to make it through the battle. So
definitely.
Yes. So I think we're gonna call it a day here. Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you on the next Let's Play FFBE. Maybe a more difficult battle for our veteran players that may have not gotten much use out of this one particular game.
Perhaps a certain more difficult plant boss.
Or a machine boss, we don't know, but look forward to it, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.